He's coming all the way from the United States of America. He's a Wall Street trained finance executive with even more than a decade of global investment management experience with an acute focus on alternative assets. We were lucky to have him here at AAU TV to have an interview, but we said no. If one of our colleagues has just passed through, why won't we give him the opportunity and interact with us just for about 30 minutes before he leaves? So without much ado, let's welcome Mr. Ramsey Jay Jr. He's just passing through with a round of applause. And then let's listen to him for 30 minutes. And then after, Dr. Makuku will take over. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. One more time. Good afternoon. I am just passing through. So I'm going to stop by for a little bit while I'm passing through. I'm not going to be long, but I was invited to share a couple of thoughts with you. And before I do, I'd like to ask you just a couple of questions so I'm very clear on who I am sharing time with. So if you wouldn't just kind of raise your hand if the statement I asked applies to you, just raise your hand so I kind of know that that's who's here. So if you work currently you work at or on a university or a college campus, just raise your hand so I know that is what you do. And raise it all the way up so I can clearly see it. Okay, so these are individuals who work on a college or university campus, that's correct? Okay. If you currently have earned the license or the certification, the CPA license, raise your hand if you have that credential. What is it called? Is that what it's called?
We call it CA.
What is it called?
It varies, because there are a lot of different nationals here.
Okay.
We have Nigerians here, and in Nigeria is Institute of Chartered Accountants.
Okay.
Nigeria.
If you have that, raise your hand. Okay. And then go down the list and
then we have Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana.
Ghana, Chartered Accountant.
Yes, and then the other countries, but in general we call them CA.
C.
CA.
CA.
Yes. CA.
Okay. If you have a CA, raise your hand. How's that? CA. Okay. So most everybody has a CA. That's correct. Okay. So. In the U.S., we call that the equivalent of the CPA. Okay, so we're speaking the same language. So that's what you do. The third question. How many people? Be honest. When you were this big, so when you were a kid, said you wanted to grow up and you were going to be an accountant. Who had that dream when they were this big? One person. Two people. Okay, 2 out of 70 roughly, right? So not many people when they were young said, I want to grow up and be what you now are. Think about that, okay? Think about that. Number three, who now is really, really excited about what you do? You love your job. You love the work that you do. No one's going to tell you if you don't. But if you do, you love your job, you love what you do, raise your hand all the way up, because I'm trying to scan the room, so I need hands all the way up. So you love what you do with a CA or CPA on a college campus. You love what you do. Okay, would that be fair? Okay. So if I were to ask, I'm going to ask 3 people, then I'm going to start what I have to do. I'm going to ask 3 people to answer this question. And it's a very simple question, but I want you to really think about how complex I actually think the answer is. So the question is very simply this. If I were to do what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask one person from this side, one person from this side, and one person from here. So start getting ready. 1, 2, and 3. One person from each section. And I'm going to ask you in one sentence to explain to me, what do you do? And I want you to answer that for me. So I'm going to ask you, or someone here, and someone here. If there's a volunteer, we'll take it. If not, I'll volunteer you. But we want to do this kind of quickly to get us going. So what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? In one sentence, what do you do? And anybody want to do it? If not, I'll ask somebody to do it. If anybody would like to answer the question. No volunteers here. What about here? Anybody here? You love, now wait a minute. Frank, didn't this whole room raise their hand and said, we love what we do?
Oh yes, they did.
Let me go back to the beginning. Let me back up, because maybe I'm confused. If you love what you do, you love your job, raise your hand. You see what's happening, my friend? You see what's happening? They're starting to get it cooking now. They're getting cooking now. This is the evolving accountant in the 21st century who loves what they do. Now, I'm simply asking you, you love what you do, to tell me what you do. Now, wait a minute. If I love what I do, I would love to tell you about it if it was true. Okay? So I'm going to try this one more time. I'm asking one person from this section, one person from this section, and one person from this, to just simply tell me what it is that you do. And you all love doing it. Now, do I have any volunteers? I have one here. Do I have any volunteers from this section? Look at, ma'am, and stand up. You're going to be, stand up, please. Stand. Stand, you'll be first. And then who would like, okay, here we go. So we'll get to you, but we'll start here, and then we'll go here, and we'll go here. And it's just one sentence. Just one sentence. No, not a speech, just one sentence.
I'm the Chief Finance Officer of my university.
One more time.
I'm the Chief Finance Officer of my university.
Okay. I am the Chief Financial Officer of my university. Okay. Ma'am. One sentence. What do you do? Here we go.
I provide assurance to management that the controls in place are effective, operating, and adequate. I'm an auditor.
It's a long sentence, but we'll give it to you. Good. We'll give it to you. I like that. I like that. I like that. Okay. You want to do it? Okay. We'll do two more, and then we'll do it. You want to do it?
Okay, so I am a change agent. I'm a change agent in my institution by using my profession as a chartered accountant and currently occupying the position of Director of Internal Audit.
You're really working these sentences. Maybe I gotta start saying 2 words and then it'll be a sentence. But I understand. Right here, please, sir. One sentence. What do you do?
Okay, I manage finance in my institution.
I manage finance at my institution. Okay. Anybody else want to go? Okay, these are good. One last one. And there's no right or wrong answer. I'm doing this for a reason.
No,
Sir, please
financial.
stand so we know you're on the floor.
Okay,
Stand.
Stand up.
Please.
Okay, that good. I just eat it so I can stand up.
You're doing great. You're doing great. You're doing
I
great.
keep record of financial transactions of my university.
Didn't hear the first part. Please, one more time. Repeat.
I keep records of the financial transactions of my university.
Okay. Thank you. And we'll do one last one. I think there was a gentleman on the end of the table here. Let's pass it down. One last time. The question, very simply, what do you do?
I am in charge of financial administration of my college.
One more time.
Financial administration of my college.
You're in charge of financial administration in Chicago. Okay. Give everybody a round of applause. That's good. Everybody, give them a hand. That's good. No such thing as wrong answer. Now, I want to ask 3 questions, and then I'm going to start. I have a couple slides, and then I'm going to keep moving. Number 1. Does anybody here actually believe that your job requires you to record information? Record. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. You would say yes? If you record data, you record information. Raise your hand if you do that. You record data. Number 2, anybody in this room actually had to present or help present the information that they have recorded? So you record it, right? Now you have to actually present what you have recorded. Raise your hand if you actually present information that you record. So you present it to somebody else. Raise your hand so I see clearly. Looks like almost everybody does that. So a lot of people record, a lot of people also present. Yes? Thirdly, how many people here are in charge of sometimes helping to project what will be happening at the university, at the college, with the information that you are in charge of keeping record of? If you have to sometimes help project what is going to be happening, raise your hand if you have to do that. Raise your hand high so I can clearly see it. So a lot of people do 3 things, if I'm correct. Sounds like we have a lot of people that record. Yes? We have a lot of people that record information. Yes? Do we have a lot of people who present information? We have people who project information? And is that information critical to the institution that you serve? Yes or no? Yes. So when I ask you what you do, I think you do all the things you mentioned, but I think you really do 3 things that are critical to the organization that you work at. Because if the organization doesn't have good records of what they're doing, they can't keep doing what they're doing. If they can't articulate what they currently are doing, people will lose faith that they're doing it right. And if they can't also articulate what they will be doing going forward, people won't want to support them going forward. Does this make sense? So you have to be passionate about making sure you do all 3 of those things within whatever you told me that you do. Does that make sense? So, if you would stand up again, what's your name? Saffron? Somewhere. Stand up, please. So I would like you to tell us what you do using the three things I just said you do. Because you said you did all three of them. Did you not?
Yeah.
You said you do what?
I said I'm the Chief Finance Officer.
That's what you said the first time, correct?
Yes, yes.
You didn't say anything about recording, presenting, or projecting.
Well, I did.
You do that.
I do record.
You didn't say it. Okay? So when I ask you what you do, I want you to tell me you do these things.
Okay.
So you said what I am. You didn't tell me what you do. I asked you what you do. I didn't ask you who you are.
I see.
Okay, so here we are. We're talking about evolving the way you think about what you do. Because if you evolve how you think about what you do, you think it'll evolve how you do it? Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah.
Right? Evolution starts inside. Okay? Point number one, evolution is an internal act, not an external act. So if I ask you to tell me what you do, I'm not asking you to tell me who you are. Okay? Okay? So please introduce what you do to this room full of colleagues.
Okay.
Record, present, project should be used in your narrative.
I still one sentence.
We're gonna be more liberal. We're gonna be more liberal because I've got people putting commas and hyphens and semicolons. So make it one long sentence. How about that?
Okay, I'm in charge of recording the income and expenditure
Right?
of my university,
Yeah.
presenting them
Yeah.
quarterly basis to management and the council for evaluation, and I'm also involved in budgeting for the university, both recurrent and capital expenditure budget.
Yes.
And
What's the name of the university?
our university is Elizabeth University in Nigeria.
Okay.
So
Tell us that.
I think
That's good. Tell us that though. Tell us where you work.
where I work.
Yes.
Okay, I work in Elizabeth University.
Okay. So
a private
what I
university
think
in
is
Nigeria.
you work at
At the finance department, or what we call bursary department,
the name of the college.
Elizabeth University.
So you record,
I
Critical
record
data.
critical data.
you present,
I present them for evaluation,
And then
for the
you
use
project.
of management,
yes.
and I project for both current and future expenditures.
And who ultimately is the beneficiary if you do that job really well? Who do you serve at the end of the day?
I serve first the proprietor of the university, or the board of trustees, as it may be, and I equally serve the student
Are there students there?
and staff
Okay.
of the university.
So if you do your job really well, who is the ultimate beneficiary? Students.
Student
That's who you ultimately serve.
serve, yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So what you do is you present critical data, you present it,
Yes.
and then you help project it.
Yes.
And if you do that job really well, ultimately you help more students receive an
And the
opportunity.
student benefit from it to produce quality
Oh.
student.
Oh, interesting. Now, the first time I asked you what you did, what'd you tell me?
The very first time,
Yes.
I just told you what I do. What I have.
That's right. Remember that now. The first time I came and talked to you, you just told me I am the chief financial officer, and then he sat down. That's not what he is, and that's not what he does. That's not who you are, and that's not what you do. You understand? So when you are asked to talk about what you do, you talk about all that you do, and ultimately everybody here plays a critical part in making sure the students at your university can continue to receive an education. You may be a CA, you may be a chief financial officer, you may be in charge of writing information and reports, but ultimately what you really do is you present critical information to make sure what has happened in the past is known, and what is currently going on is happening, and what will happen in the future goes on, so that the students that you serve can continue to receive an opportunity to be educated. That's what you do. Okay? When you talk about evolution, you talk about how to evolve how you think about what you do. And then you evolve how you actually go about doing it. Does this make sense? Hit that first slide, and if you can, you're close enough. Can you stand up and read that?
According to a research study, wow.
Keep reading.
According to a research study at Cambridge University, it doesn't matter what order the letters in a word have. The only important thing is that the first and last letter be in the right place. The rest can be a total mess, and you can still read it without problem. This is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, but the words as a whole.
Now, are there any typos in there? Would that make it out of your department? Would that be approved to print?
You say what?
Would your department approve you to print that? Is that approved to be printed?
No.
Why not?
Virtually all the words there are
Are there any errors?
not few. I say virtually all the words.
Why am I asking you to read that? What's the lesson? I'm trying to help you learn what's the lesson you're learning by reading that? Every single word up there is wrong, but you got the right message, didn't you?
Yes, absolutely.
How did you get the right message with every word up there being incorrect? How did you get the correct lesson with every word up there being wrong?
Maybe because the words are familiar, then there are things that I've seen before.
Okay.
So it's easy for me to maybe replace or rearrange those words to make something meaningful out of it.
Okay. And if I were to say to you, how would this relate to you personally? If I'm saying we have to start helping you think differently, thinking outside the box, thinking more creatively about what you do every day as an accountant, how would you relate this lesson to what you do every day?
I think I think thinking outside the box is actually the important thing here. We don't have to maybe with the words that we have here now, you might think it's a big problem. If you don't decide to do something, you might be thinking, oh, it won't make any sense. But by the time you decide to go into it, then the problem is solved.
Or it's become bigger. One of the two happens.
Yes.
Now, let me help you. Thank you. Give them a hand. Thank you for your help. Thank you. Now, be honest, because when I put this up here, I walked up here on purpose, and you know what I saw a lot of people saying? There's no way he'd be able to figure that out. There's no way he's going to be able to read that. And meanwhile, you read the whole thing and got a standing ovation almost. They were shocked that you pulled that off. Have you seen this before? You didn't see that before, right? We didn't stage this, did we? First time you saw it? Yet you saw it and you read every word. Hit the slide one more time. Keep going. So, I'll tell you a quick lesson in how I use that same principle. So I have an MBA from one of the top business schools in the world. I have an MBA in finance from an Ivy League school, Dartmouth, Tuck School of Business. Okay, that is an MBA that I have. The book to the right of that is called A Book on Investing in Junk Bonds and the High Yield Market, Leverage Finance. I had to learn how to read that book to learn how to do my job. And I looked at that book and it looked just like that slide that he just read. Every single word I looked at in that book, I didn't understand. I said, there's no way this is going to make any kind of sense. True story. And I got up there and I started reading through that book just like you did. And sure enough, as I started doing it, I started seeing things that I never thought I could see before. Because I was willing to take myself outside of my comfort zone and stretch a little bit further and expect more from the same information that I thought I was always getting. I started to think outside the box, and then I gave myself opportunities to actually step outside the box and do things a little bit differently. Ultimately, taught myself a whole new career path within a skill set that I didn't even know I actually had. But I looked at the same information, and I found out it doesn't have to be perfectly in me. If I'm willing to be perfectly outside the box in what I'm getting, I can take myself to a whole nother level. Ended up getting a job to teach people how to now do the sort of stuff that I used to look at and said, I have no idea what this makes sense to me. But I learned how to do it. Sit the slide. Brings me to this point right here. It's not easy to wake yourself up from complacency. To do so, you have to purposely shock your system, internalize the facts, about the life you're living now, life expectancy, spiritual walk, salary expectation. If you do not graduate from high school, the hard facts embedded in the reality check will change the way you do things and make you make changes. What am I trying to say? I don't know everything about everything that you do, but I know a lot of things about the people that you serve. How many people know the average age of the population of this continent? Are they majority young or majority old? They're majority young, actually. This is a fact. Most of the people on this continent are young people who are ultimately going to be the beneficiaries of what happens at the colleges that they're currently at. Have you heard about some of the challenges going on in your country? I think I've heard a few. Have you heard about some of the challenges? Who's going to be the answers to those challenges? Is it going to be you and me, or is it going to be the future young people? Who? The younger people, wouldn't you say? So if you're honest about this, I always say to people, we have to get really honest about what are the hard facts about what's going on right now, and who ultimately is going to be the recipients of either things getting better or things getting worse. Is it going to be you and me, or is it going to be our kids? It's probably going to be our kids, right? So if everybody in here that's an accountant has a chance to do what? Record, present, and project the information that's critical to the lifeblood of the young people here, then why wouldn't we think about doing it a little bit differently every chance that we get? If everybody here does it just a little bit, imagine the ripple effect that could be the impact and the result. Thinking outside the box. One more slide. Then I got some closing points. All the way down. There's 3 points up here. So when people say, what do I do? I used to say, I work in finance. That's what I used to say. Just like some of you did. I said, I work in banking. I work in money management. And people said, that's a very nice answer. That's cute. This is what I now say my answer is. I help manage institutional investments, assisting a multitude of people. The people that I assist are very hard, and they often work in a service capacity. Together with my colleagues, we help them enjoy brighter prospects for their financial futures. Yes, it is. But that's what I now do. Okay? Now, I used to say I work in finance. I used to say I work in finance and banking. Now I say I help manage, assist hardworking people to help them have a better future. Do I say anything about finance and banking? Do I have an MBA in finance and banking? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. From a very, very top school. Do I work in finance and banking? Yes, I do. Does that tell you that's what I do? Or does that tell you the impact that I have on the people I work with and serve and work for? Does this make sense? So what am I trying to say in just a few minutes that I am passing by? I don't look at a room of 70 of you and see accountants. I believe that's selling each one of you too short. It's not giving you the credit for what you really do. It's not making you really recognize how valuable every day you come in and do accountant work is. Everybody in here is a critical part of doing these same sort of things for hundreds and thousands of students. And not one person in here mentioned that when I said, what do you do? That you actually fundamentally do this for students who are the future of this country and this continent. So in order to do that, yes, you got to do all the technical things, right? Yeah, you got to do that, right? The X's and O's, all the licenses, absolutely, we're talking about that. I get it. But ultimately, it's about the people. And what's the impact that you're going to make on the people that you serve? And with that means you want to think about doing what you're doing a little bit differently. Outside the box, leveraging best practices from your peers, some that are here, some that are not here. And if you do that a little bit differently, a little bit better every day, guess who ultimately benefits? The future. One more slide. So when I was in your position, this is my last slide, and then I'll have some closing points, and I'll take a question or two. I sat and I looked at the industry I was in. So for me, it was more finance and banking. And I said, what does the 21st century finance and banker need to be able to do to really be that person I talked about to do those 3 things? So I actually wrote my own framework for my business. And it now includes 4 things. Fundamentally, I have to be able to analyze companies. Got to do that. Technically, I got to understand where money is moving. Psychologically, I got to be able to think about how people think about money. And then fourthly, you have to think about, for me in Washington, the federal government and their implications that they have on the monetary and capital market systems. I have to be able to talk about all four of those things. Now, I sat in a room just like this, and the first time someone came and said, "What do you do?" I said, "Oh, I'm a banker. I work in finance." And he challenged me like I'm challenging you, and I said, "You know what? Maybe I'm more than that, but to be more than that, I've got to have a more dynamic way to look at the market that I actually serve and the people who I'm working for." So I wrote my own framework. And when I became what you are now, I used to look at every investment with this sort of lens. And people say, "Why would you go so much deeper in your work as an accountant? Why would you go so much deeper in your role as an analyst?" And I said, because ultimately I'm trying to save those hundreds of thousands of people's lives. In order to do that, I got to be able to do my job better and differently than anybody else. Even if nobody around me does it that way, I've got to be willing to find extra resources, cutting edge ideas, and I've got to be able to bring them into the table right where I'm at, even if nobody else is doing it. Give me that extra book. Give me that extra website. Give me that extra tutorial. Give me that extra question. Give me all that, and let me bring that to where I'm at. Even if nobody else is doing it that way, if there's somebody doing it a little bit better somewhere, I want that information. I want that resource. I want that strategy, and I want to be able to bring that right where I'm at because of the hundreds and thousands of people that I serve. If you do not think that you are doing that sort of work, if you think you just are an accountant, if you think you just are a CFO, you won't think of doing things that are more progressive and outside the box. You'll do what they've always done it the way they've always done it because that's what they always do. That's the end of progression. And you can't afford to be part of that today. So my question, if I were to provide something provocative, what does the 21st century dynamic accountant framework look like in this country today? That means I'm not asking what does today's look, I'm saying what does tomorrow's look like today if we were to put it into practice? Listen to the question. I'm not asking what you always do. How do you always do your work? How do you always do the report? How do you always do the audit? I'm not asking that question. I'm sure you can pass that with flying colors. I'm saying what needs to be more dynamic about that? What can be more progressive about that? What is someone across the world doing that's making theirs so much better than ours? And how can I bring a little bit of that into what I'm doing every day, every week, every month to make it more like what they're doing over there, more progressive, more unique? If you are able to think a little bit like that every day, you come up with your own version of this sort of framework, you see ultimately the impact is not just in your department. It's in all those people that you say, why don't they hush up on campus? And that's the future of your country. Last slide. Whenever you think about doing something outside the box, be prepared to hear the word no. No, you can't. No, your department won't. That won't get approved. You never figure that out. I like to say this, accountants. Every no that you get, if you get feedback, it's a deposit into which bank? A bank of an eventual what? If you're honest like I am, you know what most of us do when we get told no, when we try something progressive, we usually do what? Give up. Or we aim lower and just stay in the box. When you step out and you try some new things, some new strategies, some new ideas, you may encounter a little bit of opposition. People are not used to change. It's uncomfortable to change. We've always done it this way. Slap the hand. I'm encouraging you to be respectful, but also be progressive and know that you're going to hear no, but you want to say, okay, tell me why. Tell me why you don't want to think that way. Tell me why we don't want to change. Tell me why we won't look at a new system. Tell me why we won't look at a new strategy. And every time you get told no, you take all that feedback, like a good accountant would, you record it, and pretty soon you've got enough recording to say, you got to say yes now, don't you? Because I received all the feedback on why you said no in the past. Does that make sense? You did. I'm done with the slide. Let's go. Close it down. So if I were to conclude it, and I'd love to take a question or two, I would say this. I applaud every single person for what you are doing. Nobody grew up and said they wanted to be an accountant except two of us. Yet now 100% of us love what we do. My hope is that everybody now understands just how significant what you do is, who you ultimately serve, and if you're willing to think a little bit differently, try something a little bit innovative and creative, the impact can and will be beyond your imagination. And I hope that's what you think about doing, because all you are is just an accountant. Does that make sense? Just an accountant wouldn't think of doing any of this stuff. Just a CFO wouldn't think of doing any of this stuff. But someone who records, projects, and presents might think a little differently. That make sense? So I'm going to stop there. I'll take a question or two if there is one. If not, I have one parting thought, and then I will hand it back over to Dr. Makuku, as if there were no other questions. But if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take any of them on what I've shared. No questions? Then I will, let me get my last thought then, if there's no questions. So here's my last thought. Write this down. Earn 2 Fs. Earn 2 Fs. The letter F, earn 2 of them. Earn, E-A-R-N, like you earn money. Earn, the number 2, and then the letter F, 2 Fs. F apostrophe. So earn, like you earn money, and then the number 2, and then the letter F with an apostrophe. 2 Fs. Earn 2 Fs. Got it? Earn 2 Fs, apostrophe S, so 2 of them. It's like you earn $2, I'm saying earn 2 letter Fs. Like you earn, do you guys get A's and B's in school? So you love to get Fs, right? 2 Fs means you're not doing too good. But in this case, I want you to earn 2 Fs. The first F stands for first. Write that down, first. And the second F stands for founder. First and founder, F-O-U-N-D-R, founder, and the second, or the first, is first, F-I-R-S-T. The number 1 as in first, and the second F is founder. Okay. How many are here roughly? Is that 70 or 80?
Almost 70.
So we'll call it 70. So I want to say we earn 70 first and 70 founders. What am I saying? What does it take to be the first to do something? What does it take? Think outside the box, innovation, and thinking, even though it looks like I can't get it, I can figure it out. An idea is the word I want you to write down. Think of an idea. Think of an idea. I want everybody right now to write down, this is a real exercise. Right now, I want you to write down one idea that you believe, if we really got serious, could be implemented into the way accounting as a job is currently being done by a majority of people who do accounting in higher education. If there was something that we could do for the first time that has never been done before, and someone came to you and said, sir, what would you want to make sure everybody starts doing now across finance and accounting in higher education? What would you like to see them do for the first time? I want everybody here to write down one idea. That means AAU Talks should now have just created 70 new ideas that have the possibility. 69 may fail, but guess what if there's one? We just now have created 70 new what? That have never been tried before. You want to know how somebody creates a new idea? They try. They try. And AAU Talks has now created a forum where we just now created 70 new ideas because people who came in this room said, I'm going to think outside the box. 70 new ideas. The second is founder. You know what it takes to found something? If you and I go outside in the parking lot, I have some books, you have some chairs, I got a computer, you got a cash register, we just founded a book business. just like that. Okay? What does it take to found something? Guess what? The same thing. Idea. So my second question to innovative accountants, thinking outside the box, if someone said, what would you like to create and start within your organization, within your industry, to help foster creative thought? What would you create? If you could create it today. How many people here have a regular networking group with 5 or 6 colleagues in here where every month you guys are on a conference call to just think about best ideas? How many people say every Thursday of the month we have a call from 8 to 8:15 with 5 of us to think about how we're doing what we're doing creatively? How many people have those groups right now? Not one. You know what it would take to create it? It would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 saying, we just founded our own networking group to talk about best practices within accounting. I just founded the group right there. Would that be helpful to you in your job every day if you had 5 other people who every month are talking about what they're doing, how they're doing it, wins, losses, struggles, and defeats? Would that be helpful to you? Would it be helpful to you? Would it be helpful to you? Sir, would it be helpful to you? Would it be helpful to you? Could you 5 create that right now if you wanted to? Would it be the first of its kind? Could you found it right now if you wanted to? What's the limitation? The way we think. Why am I saying this? Your peers, that's what is happening. You can do the same thing right here, right now. What's the difference? Someone's willing to try, someone's willing to do what we've always done. As I close, I would love to hear 1, 2, 3 ideas. From this section, this section, this section. Everybody wrote something down. So this should be pretty easy. And then I'm gonna leave and say, sounds like we got some people who are willing to get interested about doing something new. But now we gotta do it. So who has an idea here, an idea here, an idea here, and then I think you'll know what my last question is, who's gonna be the one to create something to make it happen? So who's willing to tell me, I love my job, Ramsey, I love it. Okay, then you should love being able to make it better. Do I have an idea here? You all wrote something. So all I'm telling you to do now is read your homework, I guess. No one wants to share now. No one wants to share? All these ideas and nobody wants to share. So how is change going to happen, guys, if we're not willing to share innovative ideas? No one in this whole room wants to share an idea. No? I'm sorry? Everybody won't share. They won't or they will? They want to. Okay, well, would you help me? And stand up since you will at least be willing to share. I appreciate that.
The idea I have and what is in my mind is to have a sort of a uniform accounting.
He's actually giving us an idea. Go ahead.
A uniform accounting practice and standards that every nation in the world can have a uniform accounting way of doing things. That by the time I pick an account from my own university, I look at the account from another university over in Europe or Asia or any part of the world. It will have the same type of standard, the same type of system, and I can easily now draw conclusions on that account. That's an idea I want the whole accounting world to start thinking of.
Give him a hand for having an idea. You know what the easiest thing to do is to critique an idea. You know what the hardest thing to do is to be the one that says, I'm going to keep trying to get the idea right. Who else? An idea? Yes, sir.
I think for Africa,
Please stand.
yeah, for Africa to develop, we need to manage our risks very well. So whatever we are doing, we should know the risks that will not prevent us from achieving our objective.
Risk.
Yeah.
You're saying we need to manage our risk better
Yes.
in order to achieve our
Proper risk
objective.
management.
You don't think we're doing that well? Can we do that better?
Yes. But before we can do that, we need to have a proper data to analyze the risk well and then put responses.
I like it. Give him a hand. That's one more idea. And one last one. Any other ideas? Yes. Dr. Makula would like to have a woman share. A young lady, please.
A young lady.
Doctor, I'm not finding one. Call on one, doctor. I don't have one, doctor. I don't have one. Okay, so last question, and then I'm going to give it back to you, doctor. Thank you. First of all, thank you for your time. This is not meant to make you feel comfortable. Understand that. I'm here to make you feel uncomfortable. That's my job. I want you to leave and say, I'm glad he's gone. That's okay. I want you to feel that way. That's okay. That's my job. Because listen to my heart. Listen to my heart. This has to change. This has to change. And the only people that can change it are the people willing to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I am. And I'm okay with you not liking me in the process. But if you're not willing to think outside the box and throw new ideas out there and create groups to start fostering those ideas to make them better, you'll come back in 5 years saying, why are we still in the same position we were in 5 years ago? Now's the time to be okay with thinking differently about what you do for the benefit of the people that you serve, which are young people. You're not just accountants. You're some of the most important people, serving the most important people to the future of your continent. If you don't want to do it for you, start getting comfortable, being uncomfortable for them. And I think the time to do that is now. I wish you good luck. And if they invite me back to make you uncomfortable more in the future years, I will. If not, I hope I've done enough to at least make you start thinking a little bit differently about what you do instead of just doing what you do.